Taoiseach, in your address on Sunday night, you said that, quote, the banks must do more to deal with mortgage distress. Probably the understatement of the year, particularly when you see now that 1 in 5 of residential mortgages remain in arrears, and the figures are quite dramatic. And it's as if you're on the sidelines, that the government is on the sidelines and are helpless, refereeing a match that they have no control over. But the bottom line, Taoiseach, is that really since the legislation, the land conveyancing bill that you introduced, repossessions are now becoming the norm and the acceptable option for banks to pursue those in arrears. And it seems to be becoming the norm with government acquiescence. You put the banks in the driving seat, and we know from presentations to the Finance Committee that, for example, Allied Irish Banks, Bank of Ireland, Ulster Bank, between them, sent out about 13,000 letters initiating the process of repossession. And if you look at the figures, Taoiseach, in terms of court proceedings issued quarter by quarter, there has been a dramatic increase in the number of court proceedings issued during Q3 2013 over Q2 2013, up about 570%, from about well over 1,800 in Q3, compared to about 270 in Q2 of this year. So a dramatic increase. And if you look at the Fitch report, Taoiseach, it's estimating that about 20% of residential mortgages that are in arrears will end up being repossessed. Now that's 20,000 homes that will be repossessed. And if you look at the tables here in terms of court proceedings and so on, you now see the thing really escalating and accelerating in numbers.
Please. Thank you.
Now the point is, Taoiseach, you did say to me last year that repossessions would be the last resort. That's the quote in July. Sorry, it was in July you said to me that has to be, you said, the last resort. And that families would be offered solutions that did not involve house repossessions. Now, can I ask you, Taoiseach, are you comfortable with a figure of about 20,000 family homes being repossessed? What is the government going to do to intervene in relation to those in mortgage distress? You acknowledge the banks aren't doing half enough. So what are you going to do?
Thank you.
And thirdly, what have you against the idea of an independent mortgage resolution office that could genuinely arbitrate between banks and their customers to provide for meaningful and sustainable solutions for those in arrears? Thank you, Ciarán Comhairle.
Thank you. Taoiseach. You asked what are you going to do about this. Do a hell of a lot more than you did. I don't accept your premise that. Thank you, Deputy Troy. Thank you, Deputy Troy. I don't accept your premise that repossessions have become accepted as the norm. I think it's beyond doubt that there will be some repossessions. Nobody likes to see houses being repossessed, but it's not real to suggest that there won't be some repossessions. I do not accept your assertion that repossessions have become the norm, or that repossessions are a fundamental part of government policy. They're not. We've made that perfectly clear on so many occasions. Now, as you're aware, we have, much to your own consternation, I would think, we have rebalanced the rights of borrowers and lenders with the personal insolvency legislation, the most radical shake-up in a century. And despite the comments that you made on numerous occasions about the banks holding the veto here, the first number of decisions are very clear and speak for themselves. So, as was announced today and has been repeated on many occasions, the first requirement here is for borrowers to engage with the banks. It is not a sustainable solution to send out a letter going down the legal route. And the fact that there are so many cases that you mentioned heading on the legal route doesn't mean automatic or eventual repossession. Nor do I accept the fact that you seem to have now accepted figures put forward by Fitch's that 20,000 repossessions will take place. So we can't allow a situation where the economic recovery will bypass those families who have had mortgage problems. As you're aware, in Budget 2012 was a mortgage interest relief of 30% for first-time buyers brought in. That's for those who bought their homes between 2004 and 2008, and that eased the costs for 270,000 householders. So the Department of Finance, as you're aware, another thing that is being done here, now produces monthly data. The data for October shows a slight decline in the overall number of people falling into arrears. Engagement between consumers and lenders there, Deputy Martin, has led to 49,032 permanent mortgage restructures settled and dealt with, and people are able to meet those requirements. That's an increase of 3,855 accounts. The number of mortgage arrears in arrears of greater than 90 days has fallen from 81,156 to 80,854. A small reduction, but again continuing to fall. The central bank has set its targets, clear targets. These are being monitored by the central bank, and the lenders are required to offer distressed borrowers sustainable solutions by the end of next year. So the success of the banks in meeting these targets is measured by the central bank and by their residential mortgage arrears and repossession statistics, and Q3 will be produced in the next short time. So the key here is to define and arrive at a solution, and therefore the first requirement is engagement between the borrower and the lender. The first requirement is to find a solution, Deputy. You seem to run off and accept a figure on the newspaper today of produced by Fitch's. You seem to assume that it's suddenly government policy, that it's the norm that repossessions take place, when that is palpably not the case, Deputy Martin. And you should not be putting out all of these scares as we come towards the end of this particular parliamentary session.
Thank you.
Clearly, for banks whom you have been talking about having a veto over solutions here, bankruptcy is the end of the line for somebody who goes through that process, and banks get nothing out of that. So it's in their interest. It's in their interest to settle. So there's no strategy to either force or to encourage repossession of people's family homes. I want to make that perfectly clear.
Deputy Martin,
look, Taoiseach, words mean nothing anymore in here. You can keep on denying whatever you want to deny, but it doesn't actually strike a chord with the reality on the ground, Taoiseach. Because you talked about the central bank targets. Do you know what the figure is for the threat of legal repossession under those targets? 60% of the sustainable solutions offered were the threat of legal repossession. That's your central bank targets, Taoiseach. I'm not making that figure up. That's official, on the record. The 13,000 letters sent out by AIB, BOI, Ulster Bank are not my figures, Taoiseach. They're formally presented to an Oireachtas committee. OK, rubbish Fitch if you want. We'll give you that. I'm not rubbishing them, but you can. You can do that, Taoiseach. And these other figures, Taoiseach, are official figures, Taoiseach. Sorry?
Sorry, Deputy.
They're out of control. You're correct, Deputy Matthew. Absolutely out of control.
Sorry,
and the point is, these figures here.
Would you put your question, Deputy, please?
These figures here. Sorry.
Sorry, hold on.
Deputy, greatest respect. We'll keep this.
Sorry, please.
We take this on just the substance and the facts, Deputy Donovan, not smart-aleck comments about individuals or personalities, OK? The bottom line here, Taoiseach, if I could put it to you, that these figures here, Taoiseach, are official
Sorry, would you
figures.
please stay quiet? Thank you.
Taoiseach, these are official figures in terms of court proceedings issued during the quarter. Now, in Q2 2013, you were looking at 270. In Q3, on Q3 of 2013, you're looking at 1,830. Now, that's facts, Taoiseach. Those are figures that I didn't make up, but that are on the official record.
Thank you.
So whatever record you want to take officially, Taoiseach, it's telling a story that repossessions are dramatically on the increase, that you've sat on the sidelines on this issue, and the most you can say is, in a much hyped televised address to the nation, is the banks must do more to deal with mortgage distress, without explaining in any detail what that means or what you intend.
Deputy, would you please?
So I'd ask you one more time. would you agree with the establishment of an independent mortgage resolution office for once and for all to get a genuine engagement going between banks and those who are in arrears? Because the other options are not being offered to any great degree, be they split mortgages, interest only, or extension of loan repayments period. Those options are not being offered to any great degree.
The answer is no.
1 minute, thank you.
It's not necessary. You talk about sitting on the sidelines. You know, didn't I hear you speak on the radio some time ago saying that unfortunately the problem was that your government didn't bring in enough taxation and spend too much money publicly, which got us into this business. And when you talk about denial, did I not hear you in the last, did I not see you vote against the exit from the bailout just last week? And do I not hear you now talking about a situation where Ireland should have similar extensions given, similar facilities extended as Greece have. Now, I think you need to be clear that we're not going back to that culture.
Please.
We're not going back to that culture.
The time is nearly up.
And you can deny all you like. The fact of the matter is that 49,032 permanent mortgage restructures have been brought into place, and that's an increase of almost 4,000 accounts. And every day, and I'm glad to note that Mario Draghi has said that banks need to do more. In fact, he echoes clearly what we've been saying here from a government point of view. And what we've been doing, oh, you may laugh if you wish, you may laugh if you wish, you may laugh if you wish. You are not a supporter of the personal insolvency legislation, which is now bringing about a change of attitude, a change of understanding by banks that if they don't engage, they don't have a veto at the end of the day, and they don't have a veto at the end of the day, and that there is a requirement for borrowers and for lenders to sit down with the lenders and engage in the first instance. And there are some who don't do that.
Thank you.
All I can say to you, Deputy Martin, is that the central bank is the licensed authority here. They've set their targets, they've set their objectives, they've set out how they intend to monitor these, and banks are required to shape up here, because it is not a case of anybody wishing to see people lose their houses. But the certain and sure way that might happen is if people don't engage with the lenders in the first instance. There are a whole variety of things set out by government action here and by government legislation to help the borrower, and they should avail of all of these opportunities. If you want to go down the road of setting up another independent analytical operation, which would take probably a very long time, in the meantime, many of these distressed mortgages can be restructured permanently to the benefit of both.